Welcome to Awakening You channel. If you appreciate what we do, please support us. Thank you. Dear ones, I am Archangel Michael. Today we will finish the main part of this subject, related to religions. I would say this is a subject I could stay here talking about for weeks and weeks. But this is not my idea. I just want to plant doubts, plant questions about everything you have heard and that you practice in your religions. This is my intention. I want to make you think. I want to make you realize the points that cause separation. So that you understand that when we say that religions came to separate and not to unite, you understand exactly the point where this happens. As I said yesterday, going on a TV channel or the internet, altogether saying that there is no discrimination, is great theater. This doesn't exist. When leaving that meeting, everyone goes back to their religions and continues applying the same things they have always applied, because they don't know how to do it differently. So here too I want to make something very clear: those who go there, and who claim to be representatives of the high, were taught that, for the most part. Only those who decide to create religions, because they think that their understanding is different from others, and that they are more intelligent, they are more important, and after all they were chosen to pass on the divine message, these are the worst. So what I want with this is for you to stop and think. I'm going to talk here today about some other religions. What was done with Muhammad's words? Muhammad emerged in the East, so from there, from his words, the Muslim religion emerged. And what became of Muhammad's words? A total distortion. Muhammad never treated women the way Muslims do. There was an inversion of values, where women became shelf objects, where they have to be kept in a box and no one can have their eyes there. Just the owner of that woman. So it was created that women have no rights. You are not given the right to do anything. Because they have to just be submissive and women, in the broadest sense of the word. Thus suffering all kinds of violence and mistreatment. Women who rebelled against this religion suffered the consequences, because it is unacceptable for a woman to have a voice. And then you can see that there are the orthodox, those who faithfully follow what someone described as correct. So they don't allow any little finger out of line, let alone a foot. There are already those who are more liberal, who understand that there is no need for so much imprisonment, so much submission on the part of women. But they are fought because they are going against the words of Muhammad. Allah, to whom they refer to our Father or Mother God, remains that punishing God. And yes, that God is extremely corrupt, because he thinks he has the right to kill another brother, or thousands of brothers, in the name of his belief. In the name of a belief that Allah is condemning those brothers. So Allah, instead of being a loving God, he is a judge, he condemns, he executes, he gives orders. He orders to kill all those who do not follow what they believe. Anyone who doesn't follow what they believe in is a terrorist. They do not. Extremists are not terrorists, they are the exemplary representation of those you call evil. Because no human being, with the soul of light, is capable of doing that. Each one of those terrorists is an incarnated soul, ready exactly to do what needs to be done. And at that moment when the attack is committed, an order of evil beings are there just waiting for the blood and the souls that are supposedly still wavering, which path they should follow, to co-opt them into their armies. Is this from Allah? No, it is not. The name of Allah is used improperly, to justify the evil acts that they cause. I don't need to say much here. I also cannot say here that all Muslims have the same thought. No, many revere Allah, with the heart, with love, but they continue to subjugate their women, following the same prejudices that they have always been taught. Is it right? Women don't have a place, women are animals that have to be covered up? Why can't she awaken the desire of other men, nor her own desire? But this also had a basis. Anyone who reads the letters of Christ observes that in many points, Sananda comments on the balance between man and woman. Or do you think that Father or Mother God would create man and woman, just because he wanted to create two different beings? There was a balance there. one representing strength, the other representing lovingness. And the two together balance each other out. I already talked about this here. The path of humanity has forced women today to be men. Today women are heads of families, they are the ones who provide the livelihood, something that was initially the function of man. It was always the man's responsibility to go out hunting, to go out and bring the harvest home. But women were so attacked, so diminished, so inferior, so violated, that they got tired. And there it is today, the woman, in addition to performing all the functions she has as a woman, is also the owner of her own family. She has to go to the streets to collect the proceeds to support her family. And many men just continue with what they've always done, work. They think that everything else is the woman's job, even if she also works. So realize, my brothers, that the imbalance has been going on for a long time. The inferiorization of women means eliminating the loving side. Because a sad woman, a submissive woman, a violated woman, cannot keep love in her heart. She rebels, she doesn't understand why she suffers. And there is the world that is today, totally out of place, totally out of balance when we talk about men and women. Then the religions themselves, this was one of them, which made women inferior. Why? So that love could be fought, so that loveliness typical of the feminine being was diminished. And then that whole third dimension process would happen more easily, because there would be almost no love, because it is not typical of being a man, have this love. I'm not saying here, my brothers, that men don't love. They love a lot, when they are balanced men, when they are men who were raised with a lot of love. Men were not created to subjugate women. Because many pass this from father to son, so they do and copy exactly what their parents did and continue to be dictators of their women. So those who were raised by women alone are often extremely loving men. Because they only received this, love. And they knew how to value the love of that woman, who was father and mother all the time in his life. And he passes it on to his wife, to his daughters, and he does not allow them to be submissive. So my brothers, I return to what I was saying. I'm not saying that man doesn't have love, he does. But the balance would not be on his part, this lovingness. Man has another function. He is the strength, the fortress, the income, for this he was created. And the woman, with her infinite wisdom, keeps the structure in balance, because she manages to keep everything in balance. It's rare for a man to keep everything in balance, because this is innate to women. It has thousands of functions, thousands of activities and can handle them all. And if she were a man to do it, she would get tangled up because they weren't made for that. So, my brothers, everything changed over time, with the aim of making women inferior, taking away their power. This power of balance, this power of love. The more love, the more light. And what happens to the negative? It becomes small, it loses its strength. Now if you take away the strength of that being that emanates light, what happens to the negative? He stands out. And there is the third dimension that you live in today. So some religions abused this right to inferiorize women, they made it extreme, which are the Islamic religions. And then you still come and tell me that the books were written by beings of light? So, let's go, let's listen to what terrorists say when they're going to kill someone. That they are promised a harem with 21 virgins when they arrive in heaven. Interesting. That soul will have thousands of dead people behind it, but it will go to heaven, and will have 21 virgins waiting for it. In other words, more submission, women became bargaining chips. And then we will have harems, in which many think it's beautiful for a man to have several women. For what? To say that he is more powerful than others or more of a dictator than others. Because he only subjugates women, nothing else. So, my brothers, each religion had a purpose. He acted in a certain way. And I'm also going to talk about another religion, which many here have already read about in the letters of Christ. Which are the Jews. Separativism to the extreme. Today we can say, that many will comment, no, they are intelligent beings, they have already built many good things in the world. Interesting. For whose good? Is what they actually do for the good? Or have their representatives already taken up their positions within the dark cabal? My brothers, is there love in Judaism? Exist. All religions preach love in some lines. But that's not the main goal, because if it were, your world wouldn't be the way it is. And then you will ask yourselves, many people are curious, why did what happened to the Jews happen? Why? I'll just say one sentence, many reap what they sow. Why did I say many and not all? Because there, unfortunately, many died without a harvest. It was not a harvest. It was a harvest for some, which brought about the harvest for others, who had nothing to do with what was being done. There was no bloodshed. No, there wasn't. Let's think about it this way, what happens in a war? The whole world turns to that event, news breaks out every minute. Fear begins to reign on the planet. So what is the best way to generate fear, globally? Exactly very similar to what is happening now, the entire planet is afraid. If Gaia weren't where she already is, the process would be significantly delayed. But practically, it didn't affect anything. So let's provoke wars, let's provoke conflicts, let's provoke persecution of some religions. As it also exists in Islamic religions, where one person does not agree with the way the other thinks, and there are holy wars to this day. So the main aim is to pursue. And when you pursue, what happens to those who are persecuted? Fear reigns there. And everyone is scared. Because if they are persecuting that religion today, tomorrow they could persecute mine. This is the idea. So let's create something very shocking for the world, to show everyone who is in charge here on this planet. Many wonder why we don't stop it. I will answer, what I said at the beginning of the story, harvest, harvest with what was done millennia ago. Return to the letters of Christ. Come back. Try to remake that period that had been like that for a long time. So many of those souls, already at the time of Christ, had harvests to be harvested. They silenced the voice of a being of light. Ah, but it wasn't just Jews there. No, they really weren't. But the same souls all came there. The soul has no religion. The soul returns to where it has to return to receive its harvest. Then many souls returned there, and received the harvest. We can say that many were in the wrong place, at the wrong time, and were involved in the entire process. But why would that be? My brothers, you need to understand that you see what is shown to you. You need to see that behind the veil there is a lot. What happened is a big question mark in all of your minds. Why didn't we do anything? Do we allow the killing of thousands and thousands and thousands of Jews? That suffering. Why was this allowed? So I repeat again, the soul has no religion. Those souls, the vast majority came there to receive their harvest. It doesn't matter when. They received what they sowed, millennia ago, years ago. It doesn't matter. In the middle there were souls of light, who gave their lives to balance the process. So when I say that there were souls at the wrong time, in the wrong place, it is because these souls were not harvesting anything, they were there just for balance, because we already knew what was going to happen, but that was necessary for the harvest of those souls. And many of those who died there, and who were not harvest, were balance of light. So my brothers, before you judge, before you criticize many things, or rather, if you criticize us for allowing a lot of things, don't do it, because you don't know what's behind that there. I always say this here, and I keep repeating it, evil has never reigned on this planet, evil has never been in superiority on this planet, there has always been balance. The problem is that you only look at the negative side, the positive is dull. So you don't understand. So what about the Jews? There's not much to say. Extremely caste-forming, they cannot mix, they do not mingle. Anyone who goes out of the way is frowned upon, because they have to follow what religion says. Dominating, usurping souls. Listen carefully to what I just said, souls. I didn't say people, I said souls. Who always stay in the same place, to assert their empire. So my brothers, there are other smaller religions. It's not even worth talking about. Yes, there is another big religion, Buddhism. Also with separativism, it doesn't change. So what can I say to close this issue? When each soul incarnates, I have already explained this here, but I will remember, before incarnating, each soul chooses a location, chooses a culture, chooses the paths it will follow, the limiting beliefs it will have or not, so that it can learn its lesson. And then the soul incarnates, and theoretically it will follow the path it planned for it. So if she is an evolved soul, will she choose a religion? None, because she knows that it is not through religion that she will find her way to the high. She just believes in beings of light, believes in Father or Mother God, admires all the avatars that have ever been here, and follows her path. Very good. But then you take that shortcut. You have an extremely strict father and mother, who force this soul, who was on that free walk, to follow a certain religion. And then that child begins to be molded with so many limiting beliefs that they end up forgetting that soul path. But there will come a point, when she will remember that this was not the path she had chosen. It was freedom, because religions do not lead anyone completely to evolution. Because as long as religions exist, separation will exist, prejudice will exist, discrimination will exist. And these are not feelings of the light, they are feelings exactly to push you all away. Because if you all preached only love, what would your planet be like? You would have ascended a long time ago, because you would have already expelled those who manipulated you a long time ago. Because only love would reign. But they were very smart, they divided you, separated you. And the rules are always very clear, the other person is an enemy, because they don't follow what you believe in, so they are an enemy. And many of you still see others this way. You don't accept other people's opinions. You want your brother to always think the same as you. If he thinks differently, you don't like him. Just because he thinks differently? And then he'll talk about everything. I'm going to talk about religion, I'm going to talk about politics, I'm going to talk about football, I'm going to talk about food, I'm going to talk about tours, you fight about everything. Everything is a reason for fighting, because the other is always seen as the enemy. Not as a brother, as an enemy. This is what you were taught, this is what you learned. So there's the world you're living in. Why is prejudice so widespread in this world? Because this is the time of love, it's time to accept your brother as he is. It is time for you to look at another human outfit and see the soul, not the body, not the way he relates sexually. There is a soul there, just like yours, a divine spark just like yours. But you judge her, discriminate against her, because she doesn't do what you do, she does it differently than you. Oh no, no, she does it differently than the rules you were taught to believe. So there is an enemy, not a friendly soul. Everyone is an enemy. It's like I said, the idea here is not to judge any religion. It's just making you think about what your religions have actually taught you. Then many here will stand up and say, no, but I was taught to love God, I was taught to love Allah, I was taught to love Buddha, I have love in my heart. Very good. Do you practice this love 100%? Because saying you have love in your heart is one thing. Do you practice this love 100%? Do you look at a brother in difficulty and try to help him? Or do you think he's just another sidekick? Or more of a relaxed person who is there because he wants to be? Or you look at a poor person starving, and you shout to him, go work, get money to eat? Or do you look at a homosexual and shout, shame on you? It will be what you had to be. This is not blessed by God. Don't you do that? Don't you criticize that brother who takes another path? You don't want to see the bad guys dead, why would it be good for you if they all died? No, is that what you say? Isn't that what you think? Have any of you, all of you, ever thought this at some point in your lives? Where is love? Where is that 100% love? Ah, I see, you were taught to love God, not your neighbor. I understood. Loving God, you all do. Love Allah, love Buddha, love Jesus Christ, you all love. But love for your brother? Ah, wait, that's another department. It's already different there. Then you want a lot from us. Really, I really want it. But this was the lesson that each of these avatars left here on the planet. Love your neighbor as yourself. So it's proven that you don't love each other, that the vast majority here don't love each other. Because if you can't love your brother, you don't love yourself. You judge him, you put him in the dock, and you are the prosecution lawyer, you are the judge, you are the jury, and he leaves there condemned. You take on all the roles. You are really very important, because you can take on all the seats in a court at the same time. And then I ask you, have you never done anything wrong? Did your soul back there never do anything wrong? And how do you stand up to judge others? So sit there in the dock, to be judged too, by other people, not by God. My brothers, we are going through a very important phase on your planet. We, beings of light, have all spoken extremely about love, non-judgment, non-separation, non-discrimination. Why? You are going to a dimension where none of this will exist. So I ask each one of you, how are you going to live there, if you still have all those feelings inside? I would like you to stay with this question. My goal here was to show you that no religion is perfect. That you have all been taught, wrong. That you were all manipulated, into existing the way they always wanted. And you accepted. You were puppets of each one of those up front preaching. You were puppets. Many here did not accept this submission, they broke the link with everything. Because they understood that everything was wrong there, it was all false. Now a large majority of people here are still stuck with these beliefs. And my heart gets extremely tight when I say these things here. Because you believe in me, but you don't want to give up your religion. Because she was always good to him. She was always good to you. And even after everything I said here, you still think everything is okay. So this is what I want you to think about. And whoever comes to the conclusion that everything I said here is wrong, that I exaggerated, that none of this exists, continue in your belief. You can continue, no problem. If you continue in your belief, but don't have any of the feelings I talked about here, then I would say give it a chance. But remember, you are going against your belief because your belief does not preach this. So decide which side you're on. That's what I said yesterday, 1 foot here and 1 foot on the other side, there's no way. Or you come to the side of light and abandon all this, and believe that there is only one God and that He is pure love, and that everything you go through is the harvest of your own soul journey. If you understand this, come over here and forget everything else. You won't be missed, I assure you. Because the light will supply all your needs, no separativism, no condemnation, no judgment, no discrimination. Just love. Now if any of these feelings you still can't throw in the trash, then leave it there. Until you look at a brother and see him as a brother, you are not ready. You are pretending that you are ready. They are not. My brothers, deep trials will come ahead, where you will be able to test and effectively demonstrate unconditional love. When the beings of light present themselves here on the planet. This will be the big test. And I tell you, whoever manages to pass this test will earn a lot of points, it will give you a boost in your journey, as it will show that prejudice, judgment based on appearance, discrimination against those who are different, it no longer exists in your heart. So be ready, but really ready, don't give lip service. Be ready. I am Archangel Michael. Every day, I try to make you open your minds, and especially your hearts. I sincerely hope I can do it.